Trial Tuesday once again. Today we are tackling the topic of excessive force by police officers putting their hands on police in other situations in which citizens are interacting with law enforcement. David Aylor, a guy who connects with not only law enforcement agents but also the hearts and minds of you people in Low Country, here with much more today. Counselor, welcome back to the program. This all came about 2 years ago on Folly Beach. That's what we're focusing on today.
Correct. This is a lawsuit that's been brought from an incident that occurred on Folly Beach. And back when it originally happened, it got a lot of press coverage here locally because of the fact it was caught on video and then was, of course, put on YouTube. And a lot of the local news outlets also played the video. And what you're seeing now is a lawsuit coming from it from an individual that was involved in the actual incident who's now suing two of the police officers, the police department's involved.
So from what I read, that gentleman was tased by police officers while on videotape. Is that correct?
Correct. Essentially what happened was there was sort of a ruckus, for lack of a better way to describe it, going on Folly Beach. The police were brought out there. There was questions related to some activity of some individuals that were allegedly intoxicated. And a number of different officers, both local Folly police officers as well as the Charleston County, who comes in and assists sometimes on the weekends, were involved. And one individual was filming sort of really the actions as they played out. And when the officer approached him, was trying to speak with him, I guess trying to calm down the crowd, or at least it appears from the video, he actually puts his hand on the police officer on his chest, at which point he's then taken down and there's a struggle and then tased.
Police officers don't like that very much. Let's broaden this out a little bit. So what do you need to know if you are faced with a situation where there's a law enforcement agent in your kind of area and is trying to give you instructions? What do you want to do to pay attention, make sure that you, A, don't get tased, and B, don't end up in jail?
Yeah, getting tased is not fun, for sure. We make sure the viewers know that. Essentially, the first thing you want to do is you want to keep your hands to your side and you want to be respectful, even though you may disagree with the officer. And again, I'm an attorney. First thing I think about is an individual's rights, and those rights should be protected. So in no way should a police officer step on your rights. However, it may not be the time and place that you're the one that plays the street side lawyer to try to deal with that. And one of those ways that sometimes people deal with it and it turns out bad for them is they put their hands on the police officers, which is something you never want to do.
Big no-no. They also don't like, as you said, being a street side lawyer because they study the law. This is their profession. So what do you want to do when you're trying to kind of, I suppose, negotiate or advertise your point of view, which is differing from their point of view?
Well, the biggest thing I think a lot of times people get confused is when they should be read Miranda. Are they under arrest? The easiest question you can ask an officer if you're in a situation where you've been approached is, am I free to leave? If you're free to leave, then you can end that conversation right there. They may have some reasonable suspicion of something going on, and it gets to a different level of a custodial arrest or an interrogation. At that point, they'll read you your Miranda, and then your rights are going to kick in. But prior to that point, if you're just speaking with the officer and you feel like you want to cease that communication, you simply ask them, are you allowed to leave? And it's an easy way to dissolve the situation, as opposed to start trying to throw legalese at them or using profanity, things like that it can escalate like this situation did. Now, the question, though, in this situation is, did that officer use excessive force?
Right.
They've done internal investigations and said that is not the case. However, one of the officers had a history related to another situation where he was actually criminally charged. Those charges later resolved with community service and a settlement that came about. So it could be that they're, sort of connecting a pattern here of this person. You've got great lawyers on both sides, but what you don't have often in this cases, but you do in this one, is the video. So that'll be an interesting way to see what happens.
It's best to not get into one of those situations where things could turn physical in the first place. So what you really want to do when dealing with an officer of the law is make sure that you heed their commands and warnings at all times.
Correct, because you always want to come in with clean hands. If you ultimately are arrested and your rights are violated, if you can show, or your attorney can show that nothing has happened that you did to cause any of this, that's going to put you in a much better position in regards to any criminal charge, as also in regards to any potential civil litigation you may go after.
Because as soon as you put your hand on that police officer, they're going to get you for assaulting a police officer as well.
It really goes easy. You always want to keep your hands off everybody unless they ask you not to.
Smart advice right there from a smart man, David Aylor. Thank you so much for your time. More Low Country Live after the break. Make sure you stick around.
Trial Tuesday, brought to you by attorney David Aylor.